I want to show you something. This is what the fluid in my transfer case looks like now. And this is what it's going to look like. Hello friends, I'm Jimmy, and this is One Road. Today I'm going to swap out the 24-year-old 78,000-mile transfer case fluid in my 1995 GMC Suburban. In this case, GM calls for Dexron 3 ATF, but because it's going in the transfer case, we're calling it transfer case fluid. This is the fluid that was installed by GM back in 1995. Granted, the truck only has 78,000 original miles, but it is 24 years old. Definitely time for a change. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the first time that I have ever changed transfer case fluid. But the process couldn't have gone easier. In fact, it was a downright breeze. All right, so let's get started here. The first thing that I did was jacked up my vehicle and put it up on jack stands. This gives me adequate room to be able to move my arms under the truck. Then I removed the skid plate for the transfer case. Now, the skid plate is held on with 4 Torx bolts and nuts. The Torx bolts are T50, and the nuts are 15 millimeter. Here, looking at the transfer case itself, we can see there is a drain plug and a fill plug. The first step in the process is going to be to loosen the fill plug. I'm going to be using my 1/2-inch ratchet and a 30 millimeter socket. You want to loosen that fill plug first just to make sure that it is possible. You definitely do not want to drain this thing only to find out that you cannot remove the fill plug. Once you crack it loose with the socket, loosen the rest of the way by hand. Make sure you got that drain bucket under there because this stuff is going to flow. And man, look how dirty that stuff is. This stuff should be a clear, vibrant red, and it is more like a dark brown mud. After 24 years, I think it's ready for a change. Here are both the drain and fill plugs. They are both the same size, both use a nylon washer, and it looks like both have blue Loctite applied from the factory. Once that draining has slowed down to a drip, you can replace that drain plug. I am going to apply just a little bit of blue Loctite, and then by hand, I'm going to screw this thing in as tight as I can get it. Screwing it in by hand is a great way to ensure that you're not going to cross any threads. Once you have it tight by hand, take your ratchet and just ever so slightly snug it down. As for filling the transfer case, I'm going to open one of my quarts of fluid and put on this cap that I made when I did my rear differential. This thing just screws right on, and it has a tube that allows me to raise the bottle above the fill point, allowing for an easier fill. Now I'm simply going to raise this bottle up over the drive shaft and feed the tube into the fill port. Then you simply squeeze the bottle and start filling her up. The total capacity of my particular transfer case was 2.3 quarts. So you're gonna have to have some patience here because it takes some time. And on to the third quart. You'll know it's full when it starts pouring right back out that fill port. Then you simply replace that fill plug by hand, and again, ever so slightly snug it down with your 30 millimeter socket. Last but not least, we can work on replacing that skid plate. Well, what'd you think? Pretty simple, huh? Remove the skid plate, loosen the fill plug, remove the drain plug, let it drain. Then you just replace the drain plug, fill her back up, and replace the fill plug. And of course, replace that skid plate. You don't want any skid marks on your transfer case. Huge side note here, guys. I've said it once already, but make sure you do not over-tighten your drain or fill plugs. Do not over-tighten your drain and fill plug. That transfer case is not made of steel. It is more brittle. If you over-tighten, you could crack it. Then you'd be in a world of hurt. If you drive a 4x4 and of course have a transfer case, I really hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, would you take a few seconds and hit that thumbs up for me? If you'd like to see more of One Road, consider subscribing. You can also follow me over on Instagram at One Road Garage or my website at oneroadgarage.com. Until next time, I'm Jimmy, and this is One Road.